Hi, everyone, and welcome back to another episode of Just Another Autism Podcast. Today, I am so pleased to be joined by Austin in person, who is going to talk to us about his autism diagnosis journey and about his stand-up comedy journey. Hi, Austin, and thank you so much for joining me today.
Hi, thank you for having me.
So, what age were you diagnosed with autism, Austin?
So when I was 2, I was told that I was diagnosed with autism.
You don't remember much of it.
Nah, not a lot, but it's...
And how old are you now?
I'm 12 now. 10 years. 10-year anniversary, if you want to call it that.
Yeah, a decade. So you've been living with autism your entire life, obviously, but when did you learn that you were on a spectrum?
So when I was 8, my mom was like... we were just chilling in our house, right? We were talking. I was like, "Oh yeah, how come you guys didn't tell me that I had autism?" And she said that, "Well, how do you find out?" And I said, "I took an online quiz. How else would I find out?" And Mom said, "Well, what made you think that you did have autism in the first place?" And I said, I didn't feel like I was normal, which, looking back upon it, I don't feel it was a very good response because, as I've learned now, you can be anything you want to, right?
What made you feel so different from?
Well, I went to a school at the time that was very accepting, but sometimes I was taken out of certain classes and I wasn't there for the full experience, and at the time I wasn't very sure why, and I felt like I was so different that I should be treated as a different person, which is not correct for anyone to have the feeling of. So.
And you found a lot of joy in stand-up comedy. It's kind of been...
Yeah, it's like my therapy.
Can you tell us more about that? Like, how did you get into it, and what do you feel when you're performing?
Sure. When I was performing, I felt like there's a new thing inside of me ever since I started comedy. It's very therapeutic just talking about your feelings and how certain experiences have shaped your life to other people. And that's why I say it's kind of like therapy, because you explain all the things that happened in your life and it makes you feel a lot better about yourself. So, but if I had to say where did I start, my sister was taking some classes with a friend of mine, Corey, and he was my coach for now. I always felt like Avery was like the star of the show. She was doing all these plays. She's a very good actress. Still is. And I decided to join once. My mom said I would love it, so I joined. I did a show during quarantine. It was a very fun time. I mean, quarantine wasn't, but yeah, and ever since then I felt like my life has been changed for the better, yeah.
Was it love at first sight?
Pretty much, yeah.
That's awesome. Would you say that when you're on stage and you're performing stand-up comedy, like it's easier for you to express yourself than if you're having like a regular conversation?
Yeah, I think it is, because pretty much most of the time you can just say whatever you can say whatever is appropriate in that situation that you feel like, right?
Yeah.
It's a great way to express yourself, I think, so.
That's awesome. I'm glad you found that outlet. And you actually are in a documentary called Comedy Against the Odds, and you're the star of it. Can you tell us about it?
Yeah, I mean, it was a great opportunity. I knew once I had this, I had to take it. I loved filming it. I loved like all the stuff that we did. I loved for other people to know about my life story. It might change someone else's potentially. So it's amazing. I like that a lot.
Were you nervous at all about filming and having all the cameras and people around you?
I was a little bit nervous, but I feel like that's I mean, with a documentary about yourself, you kind of have a right to feel, right? I feel like being nervous is a good thing, because then if you weren't nervous, then you wouldn't be caring about the situation that you had, right?
That's true. And in that movie documentary, there is a scene where you're performing for your classmates, and now hearing you talk about your past and how it was difficult for you to fit in before, like that must have been even more meaningful to perform for them. Can you tell us about that?
Yes. So at the same school where I was pulled out of the classes, I performed there because I felt like Some kids weren't as nice to me because when they found out that I had autism, which I didn't feel was very appropriate, but I decided to perform, see how they could benefit from my side of the story, and also bring some funny stuff to the class. You feel me? And it was a great opportunity. I had some friends in there who hadn't heard about it, and they're like, "Oh my God, you did all that?" And I was like, "Yeah." It was a great feeling. And after I performed, they were chanting my name, so that was amazing.
That's nice. Do you think that it changed people's perception of you?
Definitely. I feel like pretty much everyone in that class, in that 5th grade class of 2023, felt much better about me being their friend, being like a person to talk to at any time. So yeah, and I'm still friends with some of those people. So
That's a good sign. Did you tell them? Did they get to watch the documentary yet, or not yet?
they saw like a little cut of it, but they saw the parts that they were in, obviously. But for now, most of them just know that it's out. But most of them haven't seen it.
Where can people watch the documentary Comedy Against the Odds?
You're welcome to watch it anytime you feel at comedyagainsttheoddsmovie.com.
I saw it. I thought it was amazing.
Thank you very much.
Well, thank you so much for joining me today, Austin, and I hope your story inspires others.
Thank you. I hope it does too.